Welcome to the Rusted Garden Homestead. Today I want to show you how I use worm castings and the liquid that comes out of the Hungry Bin worm composter. So we're going to collect castings from the bottom, show you how I use it in the garden, and I'll show you what I do with all this great liquid that comes out. I'm affiliated with Hungry Bins. I sell them at my seed shop. I highly recommend them, and I highly recommend this system because you're just putting the vegetable scraps in the top, and then you're harvesting the castings down at the bottom along with the liquid that comes out. When you look in here, you're going to see sometimes these black flies. They don't have stingers. They're called black soldier flies. They don't harm anything. They don't even have mouths, so it's not like they fly off and they eat plants or cause problems in your garden. They're just really efficient at helping break things down, and sometimes you're going to get them wherever you're composting. Now the worms are sitting down at the bottom. It's getting cold here. I'll be doing a video and show you how you take care of these when you get freezing weather. But they do their thing. They break this down. Over time, the castings work their way down into this container and you just pull it out. But let's talk about the liquid that comes out. This is great stuff. You're going to get about, I don't know, a quarter to a half gallon every couple of weeks, depending on how much humidity you have and how much activity you have going on. What I basically do is I take it out of that container. I'm going to pour all of this into here, or at least halfway, and then I added 50% water, put it into a sprinkling container, something that I can just sprinkle over my container plants, and I water them in. Now sometimes people are nervous about, is there any toxicity in here? This is an aerobic process, which means there's oxygen involved in breaking down all this organic matter, and usually when it's an aerobic process, there's no bad bacteria like botulism or anything that's going to harm you. However, of course, you don't want to drink this, and some common sense: harvest your leafy greens, harvest your vegetables before you pour all these great liquid onto your plants. This is really full of things that your plant are going to love, and it's one benefit of using this system. So let me pour that in, and then I'm also going to just basically unlatch this on both sides, and then you pull out a nice brick of castings. I chose this system because you don't have a lot of moving parts. You harvest from the bottom, you put the food in at the top. This tapered design compresses everything, so all the excess is not pouring out. So after you harvest your castings and compost, it just slides right back on, and it holds on there. This little piece goes right under the lip. Same thing on the other side. And now it's all locked in place. Put your liquid collecting piece back under here, and you're good to go. It's that simple, and that it takes a minute to collect it, a minute to put back on, and then you can just start putting your vegetable scraps back on top, and you're good to go. So it hasn't been quite 2 months. We're into October, so I want to move this out into the garden. This is what you're going to get out of the bottom, which is pretty cool. It's castings, compost mixed in there. The beauty of this system is that you don't have moving parts. You just put the food up top, you let it do its thing. Every 2 months you're getting about a brick of the castings and compost right in here. The liquid, again, every 2 weeks or so, probably a half a gallon to maybe more. Based on your humidity, how much you're feeding the plant. But this stuff is just awesome. So fill up my watering can halfway, and then I just add in the liquid. About a 50-50 mix, and then I go put this on my container plants. So let's go do that now, and I'll just show you how quickly and easily I use all of this. So as I said, I primarily like using it for my containers because container mixes just don't get what your earth beds get with respect to worms, microorganisms. So in the worm compost, in the worm castings, with the liquid, you have all this great microbiology in there, and you want to give that to your plants. You could let this dry out, but I would just sprinkle it around, something like that, and you just share it with all the plants that you want to continue to grow. Like for instance, over here I have leafy greens that are starting to bolt, so they're not going to get any of the liquid or any of this casting compost. I want to grow nice, healthy peppermint transplants for next year. And you can see that they're sending out all these runners, and I'm just going to pile in a bunch of the castings just like that. Leafy greens, or I'm sorry, the kale and collard should go for a long time, and just sprinkle around, you know, a couple handfuls around each plant. Nothing crazy, difficult or anything like that. Now for the tea, it's not technically a tea because they're not brewing anything. It's just the liquid that comes out. Again, great nutrition, lots of healthy microbiology in there. And then harvest the leafy greens, the kales, before you put this on, and just, you know, give it a nice soaking. This is, let me do it exactly how I would do it. Just soak in all parts of the container so that you see it kind of sitting on the top. Let it soak in. And then when you're done, the whole idea is you're putting good stuff on top. So let me cut in real quick. There's so many ways to use a liquid that comes out of there. It's, you know, filled with the nutrition, but also has really good microbiology in there. I just set up that space with a lot of peat moss. Peat moss doesn't have much in the way of nutrients in there. It's great to make loose soil, and this was actually for a video where I'm going to be growing potatoes in there. But it's just set up. So whenever I freshly set up beds, I like to use the liquid to really just soak it in. This is going to hydrate the peat moss. It's going to add nutrients. It's going to bring in really helpful microbiology and just really soak it in. This is a 2-gallon container. All 2 gallons would go into here. And it's just a nice way to really produce your own amendments and supplements for your garden. So this is going to get all watered in with the liquid from the Hungry Bins worm composter. As it rains and you water, all this good stuff is going to get washed into the root system. So let me grab the hose over here. Just soak it in real quick. This way you know your plants are all well watered. Just something like that. And that gets them all set up to enjoy everything that you're giving them. Now, again, you're going to get the worm castings and compost about every 2 months once you go through that initial 4 months of the system setting itself up. And then you're going to get this great liquid, about a half a gallon, maybe a little bit more, every 2 weeks. It's really enough to take care of all the plants that I have out here and really reduce your reliance on buying organic fertilizer. So where you're spending the money on a composting bin, you're saving money from having to buy organic fertilizers, water-soluble, granular type. So it does pay off over time. Hope you enjoyed the video. It gives you some idea of how you can process your own vegetable waste into great compost, castings, and a liquid that your plants are going to love. Thanks for watching, and please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com.